Welcome back to the Cricket Today show, brought to you by TABTouch, who bring you daily sports markets covering every BBL match so you never miss a beat. I am your host, Leo Mullaly, joined as always by Marcus Bazzano, who tipped India to win the last Test match at the SCG. Marcus, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm glad I covered my bases. So if India won, I got it right, and I look like a genius. If Australia win, and I'm happy. So
Yeah, fair enough. You've played it smart.
I'd rather be happy than right.
Yeah, true. Stats Guy still isn't here, but I can assure all the Stats Guy fans out there that he'll be back for Wednesday's show. So you don't have to put up with me hosting anymore. We'll get the Stats Guy back, and we'll get into our usual groove. I think we're back in studio Wednesday too,
Yeah,
so a bit more fun vibes, I reckon.
I was about to say that we're ditching the home vibes, and we're going back to the studio, which everyone prefers.
Yeah, love to see it. Feel every play and be right in the action throughout a massive Aussie summer of cricket with TABTouch. We've got a massive show today. We wrap up Australia winning the Border-Gavaskar Trophy for the first time in 10 years. They can get their hands on the trophy.
Yes.
We will also be covering off all the major BBL talking points, including all things SuperCoach Eddie, heading into round 6. But before we start, get around this show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Marcus, where we at?
2648. I'll make sure to get
2648.
it
We're
ready in your intro.
slowly climbing up. I
Yeah.
think hopefully by the time the Sri Lanka test happen, we can get to 3K. I believe.
I
I believe.
I, I believe.
I believe.
It'll be rough though.
It'll be a bit of a
Bit of a
slog,
slog.
but
But
I
there's
think
still
we can get
plenty of
there.
Big Bash action to come.
Yes,
Obviously,
yep.
the towards the end of the home and away season and the finals.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to cover all of it. And also follow us on the socials at Cricket Today AU and download TABTouch today. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Let's get into the quick single, Marcus. Australia win the series 3-1 over India, a 6-wicket win at the SCG. Just let's give some fresh vibes. It happened yesterday. Some fresh vibes. How are you feeling? What are your vibes, Marcus?
Just relieved, just relieved. All we needed was two forms of results, just not an India win
Yep.
in that to tie up that series. And um, overall, I think we probably were the better side, especially after losing that first one in uh, in such damning fashion, just getting
Yeah.
smashed. India looked incredible in that game. To turn that around and not lose a test match for the rest of the series after that, I thought was pretty incredible. So
Yeah.
Australia win 3-1.
It's interesting to see as well. So obviously you mentioned the Aussies get smashed in the first test and everyone's, got alarm bells saying, how are we going to win from here? And we do it. And then you think back to a few years ago when India were out here and they get bowled out for 36 in the first test and everyone's thinking, what's going on? Like India alarm bells. How are they going to come back from this? And they end up retaining the Border Gavaskar Trophy. I think they won it as well, didn't they? So
Yep.
it speaks to the quality and the absolute mental toughness, I think, of both sides to do that in respective years.
I think so. Test cricket's such a funny game.
Yep.
It's over five games, 5 days, 25 days of action. It feels a bit weird now that it's over though.
Yeah, it's a little. There's
It's
a hole in my heart that needs filling.
as it's been 3 weeks of constant cricket, and this has been one of the best series in a very long time,
Yep, for
in my
sure.
opinion. So just everything on the pitch, off the pitch. It was just a great series to be a part of.
Yep, absolutely. Speaking of Australia's success, though, the Aussies hold all bilateral trophies. That's pretty impressive. They not only hold every bilateral trophy right now, but they hold the ODI World Cup and the World Test Championship. It's pretty darn good for a team we're pretty critical of, and I think at times rightly so because I still
Mm.
think they could be better somehow.
Yep,
Um, it's just remarkable, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. Oh, it's just there's still so many like we nitpick so much as Australians, probably because we're used to success that much, and that
Yeah,
makes you more greedy when you have some success. There's obviously still a bunch to work on, but if anything, that's just a more of a positive sign to show how much of a dominant force with a population of only 24 million. You look at plenty of other countries around the world that have higher populations. England, a higher population. India have got over 1 billion more people, and even I'm not sure about. Well, Sri Lanka would probably have more people as well.
Mm.
So we're not bad. We can
Yeah,
play. We can
we're
hold a
not
bat.
bad. We can hold it. We're not bad. Well, India may have over way more people than Australia, but they don't have Scotty Boland, and he was man of the match in this test with 10 for. He was superb. Like it's so good watching Scott Boland bowl because you just know what you're going to get exactly every time. I reckon.
100%. I think I read somewhere that he's in the list for the top 10 best bowling averages with a minimum of 2,000 balls bowled.
Jeez,
Uh,
there you go.
and the only other player on that list, the closest to him, was playing in 1933. So he's basically the best to do it in almost 100 years.
Stats guy would remember that guy back
Yeah,
in
you would.
1933.
Mate, Stats guy was about 30 then.
Oh, that's so good. But yeah, he's just speaking of freaks, though, we talk about Boland, but Bumrah, player of the series. I know they lost 3-1, but I think that's thoroughly deserved. Like
Mm,
he carried them on their shoulders. He was sensational throughout. And honestly, if they had him yesterday, it could have been a very different result.
100%. He kept him in it. As you mentioned, in various stages. The second test, um, even though they were in it at stages, and especially the one at the MCG
Oh yeah, yeah,
on Boxing Day, if it wasn't for Bumrah, geez, India could have well and truly lost this series 4-1 convincingly.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and he set the tone at the start of the first test as well. So he was breaking records left, right, and centre. So thoroughly deserved
Yeah, it was
Jasper Bumrah.
that Perth test seems like so long ago, but like you look back to it, and his opening spell was
Yeah.
just some of the most lethal bowling. And I think a lot of Australian fans were like, "Oh, we've bowled him out for 150. Surely we can get at least 250, 300." And Jasper Bumrah just said, "I'm just going to drop the best. I'm casually going to drop the best test spell of all time and all out for 100." And it was as a not as a neutral fan watching, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
We'll get into a test wrap now. It was a very, very short test compared to the MCG, so there's a little bit less to cover, but also more in a weird way. India batted first, won the toss, and batted on a very green deck. They made 185. Rishabh Pant with 40 off 98. I've highlighted the ball's face just because we'll get into the ball's face in the second innings. He was a very patient Rishabh Pant. Started to open up a bit more, and then I think he caught one a bit high on the bat, and just got out from there. And then India sort of didn't really fire a shot after that. I think Bumrah hit a few fours and sixes, but other than that, it was a pretty dour innings. They were going at a slow
Mm.
run rate too throughout.
Yeah, 100%. Boland was superb. You mentioned he was man of the match, 4 for in the first innings,
Yep,
let alone 6 for in the second. Stark was also handy with 3 for.
yep,
But you look at that 185, and on that pitch, you probably think that's about par
yeah.
at that time, just the
I
way
reckon
the ball was
a
moving.
little bit under. I reckon, but
A
yeah,
tiny
yeah,
bit under, but uh, it- this is what India sort of struggled with, particularly with the bat. Other than JS, they didn't have anyone really go on with it. And with
mm,
Rishabh Pant making the highest score of that innings of 40,
yep.
look, no one really made a high score throughout the entire match, but uh, when they needed to win this game, they needed someone to step up, and none of the other Indian batsmen were able to.
Yeah, this was a really strange innings because they had Pant and Jadeja in at what maybe four for 80, 4 for 90, and two pretty good bats can go at a good strike rate, and the run rate was only at 2 and over, and Boland was holding up one end. Webster was like 10 overs, none for seven. I think he got hit a little bit later, but
Mm.
Stark obviously claimed 3 for as well. He bowled really well, so it was just there. I think they went in with the wrong mindset, as we've seen in the innings to come. They probably needed to be a little bit more aggressive and back themselves in to get that score over 200, because even Bumrah came in and hit. I know his tail wagging, but it was like 22 off.
22 off 17.
17. There you go. So
Yeah.
they probably just missed a trick there, I think, a little bit, especially with Pant and Jadeja in at the crease.
Yeah, I think Kumar Reddy was the big one, wasn't he?
Yeah, that
Went
was
out
it.
for the Golden
Yep.
Duck and Scott Boland on his hat trick.
Yeah, for sure. And we didn't even mention actually Kohli nicking off first ball. At the time I thought it was 50-50, but looking back on
Mm.
it, I think it was out.
The Smith Marnus
The Smith
juggle.
Marnus
Yeah,
juggle, yeah.
that's interesting. I it's hard to disagree
Yep.
with the decision. So I feel like whichever decision you're gonna get someone saying that was out, someone saying that was
Yeah,
not out. It
true.
was so unclear. So look, benefit of the doubt to the batsman. I reckon just go for that. It's not like he's
Yeah.
gonna make many runs anyways.
Yeah, fair. Well, it's funny you say that because, like, conversely, in the same innings,
Hmm.
Sundar got out very controversially. I didn't think that
Yeah.
one was out, so it was almost like tit for tat in a way that I thought Kohli was out. I didn't think Sundar was out, so
Hmm.
maybe it swings and roundabouts there. And ultimately, I don't think it affected the game
I don't think so.
at the end of the day. So
Like Washington Sunday, he's good with the bat, but with the ball moving around and the seam and the just the length that the boys were bowling, Pat Cummins, Scott Boland, Mitchell Stark wasn't that great in my opinion throughout the whole test, but I don't think it would have mattered. It'll be pretty good batsman to make plenty of runs on that pitch.
yep, for sure. Then Australia. So all the drama happened late on day one. So Australia was sent in for, I think, 3-4 overs at the end of day one. Khawaja just doing a little bit of time wasting, as you do. Bit of extra gardening of the pitch. Everyone's done it. Nothing wrong there. Bumrah, rightly so, gets a little bit angry. He wants to get another over in. Every bowler wants that. And then Constance has come out of nowhere
he's,
and
a,
he's been like, I am your father, Jasprit.
he's
And
an
you are
ab-
going to bowl when I tell you to bowl.
he's a little. Oh, he's a little. I don't want to. I don't want to make you do some
He's a
more editing and
twerp.
bleep
He's
a
a
word.
twerp.
Yeah, he's It's hard to explain Sam Conscious, but it's just how he is. That's the young arrogance.
Yep.
Look, sometimes it comes across as a bit of a laugh. That time was probably not needed. Didn't really need to do that, in my opinion. It
Yep.
nothing would have been benefited off Khawaja just staying in and then you getting one over Bumrah because he managed to last an extra few balls or whatever.
Mm.
So look, he's got to learn a lot. He probably won't play in Sri Lanka,
You don't
but
reckon?
this I don't think so. But
Oh,
this was a good
interesting.
this
Okay.
was a good this is a good little taste of Test cricket for Sam Constant.
Interesting. Just to play devil's advocate and disagree with you for argument's sake,
Mm.
Consis, by speaking to Bumrah, killed any chance of a final over. And I think that 6 balls is worse than 2 balls. And
Yep.
I think the dismissal itself isn't actually to do anything with Consis. Khawaja didn't get forward enough. It was a ball he
Yeah.
honestly should have kept out. I didn't think it was a ball he should have nicked or anything.
Mm.
Like, he could have easily just come forward, hit it in the middle of the bat, and Australia go home happy. So just to play devil's advocate, it's a very complex issue, this, and
It is.
I'm
It's a long one. It's been going all the way since Boxing Day,
exactly
since the
right.
young man debuted.
Ex-
I can say young man to him because I'm 23 and he's 19, so
Yeah,
it
geez.
feels weird.
What are we doing with our lives? We're doing a cricket show on a Monday morning, and
Jesus.
he's out partying after winning the Border-Gavaskar Trophy.
He's wearing runners meeting the Prime Minister in Parliament House.
That's aura. That's aura. But from the story from there was Big Bo, our man, Big Bo Webster, 50,
BBW.
57 on debut, top scores for Australia. He looked really good. I think
Really good.
India really struggled with his height because the pitch was a bit up and down, but he
Mm.
could just get on top of any bounce. They bowled a few short to him,
Yep.
both on the offside and leg side, and he just said, I'm just going to hit down on this and hit it for
Mm.
4. And even some of the drives on the up were really crisp because, again, of his height and the angle that he can swing the bat at, it does make it a bit tough to bowl at. So
And
I thought he was superb.
yeah, and he sort of limits the swing factor as well because of his long legs. He can get
Yep.
to the ball earlier,
Yep.
which is the swing. Whereas we saw with India, JSwell taking the different approach and being very deep in his crease.
Yeah.
So
Well, Jaiswell in the first innings was coming at the
he
bowlers.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so good to see that he was aggressive but not aggressive at the same time.
Yeah.
Like
He
he had a
just
strike.
he played cricket.
He had a strike rate of 54 in the first innings, but
Yep.
you'd feel like he was almost going at a run a ball, just the way he was going about his business.
Yeah, he felt you were watching. I know he went out, but you were watching him and you were like, I don't think he's gonna go out. I think he only went out because they were wrapping up sort of the people around him. But
And he's
yeah.
well, and jeez, what was I going to say? Forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
That's all
Never
right.
mind.
Well, Swift. Well, just quickly, actually, on the Australia first innings, Bumrah, that's when he initially went off early on. It was day 2, right? Yeah, early on day 2. So Siraj and Krishna stepped up and picked up 3 each, and Reddy also picked up 2 as well. So that
Mm.
was when the issues for Bumrah started, and you kind of got a sense there when he was taken to hospital that Australia
That the
were
game was
right back
done.
in the game. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I remember what I was going to say now. Bo
Here
Webster's
we go.
57 was basically scored more runs in that innings than Mitch Marsh combined the entire
That's right.
series.
Yes, I did see that. I think, and Mitch Marsh made a 47 at Perth too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think it was obviously the right call to bring him in, and I think he's got to play in Sri Lanka.
Yeah,
I think with spin, he's probably I think a bit better with pace and spin because it'll be a whole different environment over in Sri Lanka. But
yeah,
I think just based off form, based on the confidence he plays with,
and
I think he'll be a good selection.
he can also bowl spin in Sri Lanka too,
He can bowl some off spin.
which is very handy. And because he's so tall, he can get to the ball sort of just after the bounce, which sort of limits it.
Yeah,
Which is the reason probably I don't think Sam Conster should play in Sri Lanka because for me he's not great facing spin. Yeah,
yep,
he's pretty good against the pace bowlers. He's gone out multiple times in the Big Bash to spin. He went out to Jadeja pretty easily on Boxing Day to spin. I just think he struggles a bit there.
yeah, sweet. We'll touch on it a bit more in the big questions from the series because we got one about Constas and can go into a bit of a chat about how the Aussie Test sort of squad should look going into that Sri Lanka Test. It'll be interesting to see.
Mm,
India, though, they batted again, and at one stage they were threatening over 200. JSL came out firing. It was definitely a clear message to play aggressive because they knew if they sort of sat back and let Australia dictate terms that it wasn't going to end well. And Rishabh Pant just came out, hits his first ball for 6, 61 off 33 balls, a complete contrast from the first innings. Do you reckon he just said, "Stuff you, Sunil Gavaskar. Don't call me stupid. I'm going to hit 60 off 30 here and try and win my team the game." And to be fair, the ball he got out to probably should have been hit for 4,
yeah,
short and wide.
yeah. Well, in the first innings was so unlikely. It was probably after all the talk from the Indian coach that he was sort of singling out players for playing stupid shots.
Yep.
So his strike rate was a little bit less, but then they're like, actually, this doesn't work for Rishabh Pant. Was tell him to go back to his usual best, and I think it was the
Yep.
second fastest 50 by an Indian in Test history.
Really?
I
Damn.
think so. So he kept him in the game. Once he was in, I was just like, we get this guy out soon, we win the game.
Yeah.
But we had the chance, didn't we? I think there was a drop catch
Oh,
pretty
was
early
there?
on. Rishabh Pant was dropped early on. I think it was a tough one. Carey dropped him
Yeah. Okay.
against the spin, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, it was just, it was Cummins that stepped up and sort of cleaned up Pant. And then I think he got 1 or 2 again. Obviously, got 1 late on day 2.
Yeah.
But going to day 3, still needing 4 wickets, Sundar and Jadeja at the crease who can bat.
Yep.
The game was still very much in the balance because if they put on an annoying 40 runs, that the game could turn. But it was just the discipline of Boland and Cummins to come out on day 3, wrap them up for 16 runs. So good to wrap the tail up, isn't it? And you're not there just pulling your hair out. Why are they bowling short? Why are they doing this? They just
Yeah.
bowled
See what
smart.
happens.
See what happens.
You bowl full, you get the tail out. It's not that difficult.
Exactly.
Oh,
But yeah, Boland 6 for. We touched on it. He was brilliant throughout. 10 for the game. And yeah, India all out 157. Australia come out to bat, and India just weren't on from the start, were they? They conceded some byes and some wides. I think
was
that
that the first ball of the second innings? Was that the
yes,
Siraj's wide?
yeah, first or second, I think.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that was a wide.
yeah, it
I was
was.
almost missing a second pitch that one.
Yeah, and I think after 2 overs, the Aussies were none for 26, and Constas went on a bit there, and I think it was like none for 40 odd before he skied one.
First wicket fell at 39. Yeah.
39, yeah. So Aussies definitely wanted to be aggressive. Even Khawaja, like the way he played, he looked really good. Khawaja, it was a bit unlucky he got out, just due to the variable bounce, but he made 41.
Mm.
Marnus and Smith falling agonisingly short of 10,000 runs.
Not only in the first innings, but in the second innings as well.
He did cop a ball that rised a bit on him, but yeah, it's just one of those things. He'll get it in Sri Lanka. He would have loved to get it on his home ground, but
Yeah.
you can't have everything your own way. Australia hold every bilateral trophy. Steve Smith, you can wait till Sri Lanka for one extra run.
Was he
Can't
one
have
of-
everything.
Was he he'll be the fourth Aussie to make
Yes, fourth
10K.
Offies. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's pretty. Who's above him? Punter, War,
Border.
and Border.
Yep. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just thought when they got Constas out and Marnus came in, I think Marnus he sort of let them in the contest a little bit. I think there were a few balls he could have hit for four, and then yeah, obviously going out when he did, just put the pressure back on. And then
mm,
when Kawaja got out, even then I know we needed 58 with 6 wickets. I was still going. What if they get another one? Give them a sniff. They could get on a roll. But Travis Head and Bo Webster were superb. Head 34 not out, Webster 39 not out. What a moment for Bo Webster to seal it. Coming down the
yep.
wicket to Sundar. Great shot over mid off. Again, he looked so good in that second innings too. I know there was a bit less pressure by the end of it, but like he just came out. The Indians were chirping. They were still up and about. You could hear it on the
Yep.
stump mic, and yeah, he just sort of said, "Look, we're still in the driver's seat here. I'm just going to bat how I normally bat," and yeah, got us home. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah, it really was. He's gonna have a great test average when he gets
Yeah,
out
it'd be
next.
96 now. It'd be a
Yeah,
96 average.
something like that. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
he's only gone out once so far, so
yeah,
it's pretty goddamn good. But I was very confused about the Indian captaincy and the tactics in that second innings.
yep.
Look, I know there's no Bumrah. I know that, so you can't hand him overs, but 24 of the 27 overs were bowled by Siraj and Krishna.
Yeah, I just feel like they didn't trust Reddy, and the spin wasn't doing much or
Yeah,
wasn't
ready.
going to do much, was it?
I know, but you've got to. They were looking at the point we're heading. By Webster, we're looking comfortable. You got to try something different because
Well, when they were
I know
looking
the economy.
comfortable,
They
it was
both
only
went at
25 needed,
well,
and
they
then
both went at over five and over.
yeah,
And you bring on Washington Sundar when the Aussies need what 10 runs to win the game.
yeah.
I just thought that was a bit odd.
I
I
think
reckon
I
they
think
missed the trick there.
from their thinking, they're thinking in their head. Look, we have way more trust in Siraj and Krishna. We're not playing a Test series for a while. I would at least guess. I don't know that off the top of my head. Let's just give it our all here and just try and make something happen.
Mm.
But they weren't going to win it with just those two, were they? They needed
No,
they needed at least a third bowler.
like Australia did in the Boxing Day Test match. Chuck Travis head on,
Yep.
and he got the crucial wicket of
Who's their
Rishabh
Travis Head
Pant.
though? Who's their golden arm?
Well, Jadeja didn't even get a bowl
True, but
in that innings.
was spin gonna work for
You
him
just got to
on
try
that
anything.
wicket?
You got to
Yeah,
try, and even if the bowling, like Travis said, isn't a great bowler, but he still gets the wicket.
yep,
Encourage the batsman to hit it over the top. Well, I think that's probably where they missed the trick.
yep,
Get them to come down the pitch.
yeah,
Because like it wasn't like Siraj and Krishna were going at a good economy either. They were both
yep,
going at 5.4 and 5.75, which when they only need to chase 160 isn't needed. Although Krishna, they did bowl okay in parts,
mm,
but you could just tell they got a bit tired.
yep, for sure. I also question the captaincy just from a fielding placement point of view. I think the field was right some of the time, but then we'd hit a boundary and then you see deep backward point going out to the fence, and it's just like, no, you need to attack here. You need to think what's going
Yeah.
to get wickets, even if it means losing the game 5 overs earlier. What's the way you're going to get a wicket here? Like I would have loved to have seen four slips, a gully, a leg slip, a bat pad at different stages, because with the bounce and the pitch, bat pad was definitely in play. I think there was actually
Mm.
a couple Bo Webster sort of got on the inside of the bat that may have popped up there. Might have been Bo Webster. I might be wrong there, but yeah, they probably just needed to be a little bit aggressive. But without Boomer, it was always going to be tough. It was always
Yeah.
going to be tough.
Yeah. 100%.
We'll head into some big questions from the series overall. Now, first one. This is a massive loaded one. Is Virat
Biggest one.
Kohli done at Test level?
Oh,
This is
are we gonna talk about Virat and his little sandpaper
oh,
motion gesture to
true,
the crowd,
true.
emptying his pockets just to show everyone that he didn't have anything in there. That's all right.
Bit of
He's
fun.
have a bit of sook now that you're losing the series. He's getting frustrated. Let him be. He's showing how much runs he made in the series as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely nothing, except that he did make the century in the first innings. To be fair to him,
he did. He did.
but yeah, is he done at Test level? That's the big question.
Yeah, this is so. Just to go on from this YouTube comment from SDQAZX, he's one that always comments on our
He
show.
does.
We do
Yeah,
love him
fan favorite.
on YouTube. He said Rohit and Kohli should both retire. So just on Rohit
Mm.
Sharma, I think I heard that he wants to come back, but he just wants to work hard for a bit and get himself back in the Test team,
That
which is
was
interesting.
him
At
opting
his
out.
age, at his age, I don't think he can do that.
Him opting out of the last Test in a series that you in a as captain in a series that you need to win, final game, set the tone, and he opted. Well, from what we heard,
Apparently, he opted out.
opted out,
Yeah,
but that might be different. But if he did, if it's let's just say for argument's sake, if he did do that, that is really really poor.
yeah. I,
Um, I
I
would have
still,
forced him to play
yeah.
if I was Gambier.
Well, we touched on it in the preview show. I think I said I think he should play and just simply say to him, "Hey, like do what you do at the white ball level because that's what made you such a good batsman.
Mm.
And if it pays off, then you get a good start and you put the Aussies on the back foot. If it doesn't, then you're in the exact same spot you were always in."
It's a little bit
So
Richard Pant style, is it? Like
exactly,
he
yeah,
can have because he is so aggressive naturally. He can have a few bad innings and then feel like the world's ending.
yeah,
But then he can come back and hit 60 off 30 balls like Richard Pant did.
yeah, for sure. But on Collie, do we think he's done at Test level? What do you think, Marcus?
No, I don't think he's done at Test level. I
Yep,
don't think so. I think there's still something there. Um, although they have a lot of talent to bring in
yep,
if they do want to look elsewhere. But I feel like it's getting to a point where you can't really tell him you're not going to be in the team anymore. You should retire. I
yep,
think it's fair to let Virat Kohli, arguably one of India's, he's definitely in India's top 5 batsmen of all
yep,
time,
yep,
top 3 probably as well. Um, to let him retire in his own way.
yep,
Let him make the call. Whether that's someone nudging him, being like, "Look, do you think you're still up to scratch?" and letting him decide. I just think that's the way to go instead of forcing him out. But look, he snicked off every single wicket this series.
yep. That was what I was going to say. So sort of disagree with you again for argument's sake. I think bowlers have worked him out. They know where to bowl to him. Even if they do bowl straight to him, they know that you could make him feel bad on ball, get him comfortable with it, and then you throw him the one that's slightly wide and he wants bat on ball and he just ends up snicking off, whether that's to the keeper or to the slips or to gully. He just always finds a way to snick off. So I think that is a huge issue for him. If he does want to
Mm.
get back to his best at Test level, he needs to fix that ASAP. And I don't think he should be should retire, but I don't think he'll be back in Australia again for another series.
Yeah, no, I doubt he'll come back to Australia.
Yep,
It has been his happy hunting ground. Not necessarily this series, however.
yep,
But still, he's got an incredible average, and his average of still 46.85, which is pretty impressive.
yep, for sure. Next question, another India one. How can India find help for Jasprit Bumrah? For me, it's just having Shami fit. I think if they had Shami fit along with Bumrah, Siraj as the third change bowler, I think that's a pretty good attack. I don't think Siraj bowled his best this series. I think he bowled a lot better the last time he was in Australia.
Mm.
But I still think that sort of three-pronged attack can cause some serious issues, not just for Australia, but any side. It's a pretty good attack.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, but they still need to do more. They do because Bumrah can't be look like when Bumrah was gone, we're like done. We've won this series,
Yep.
and that I know that that's harsh to say, but that shouldn't be the case necessarily. I was surprised to see Akash Deep be the one to be dropped. In
I
all
feel
honesty,
I heard he may have been like injured or battling an
carrying an injury.
injury.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah, if it wasn't that and he was dropped, I was surprised
Yeah,
if that's
because
the
he
case.
was one of the best, apart from Bumrah, he was probably one of the best Indian bowlers throughout the series. But to big credit to Siraj, he bowled well at the start of the was it the second innings and also throughout the first innings once Bumrah went off and they needed some wickets. So I don't know. It's hard to tell in Australia as well.
Yeah,
Different. It's very rarely they're going to be playing in Australia consistently. So
yeah, for sure. Australian bowling question now. How do you fit Boland and Hazelwood in the same test side?
you don't.
So who are you picking, Marcus? You love Hazelwood.
Oh, I love the half.
You're gonna drop Stark, aren't you? You're gonna drop
I'm
Stark.
dropping Stark.
I
I'm dropping
knew it.
Stark.
You're so predictable. You're so
I am,
predictable.
but like the only reason I'd keep Stark in is left hand right hand combination.
Yep.
I reckon. I think that's important. But I love Scott Boland. I love
I
Hazelwood. I love
I
both of
think
them.
I think Stark offers something different to the other three. I think
He
Stark is a
does.
bit more swing, whereas the other three are a bit more nip.
Yeah, Stark in reverse. He bowls a mean Yorker. He's the one probably that you're looking at out of the three that can clean up the tail the quickest.
Yeah. And what
Um,
I would say on this, if I had to pick, I'm picking Scott Boland right now. Sorry,
it's
Marcus.
Victorian, mate. I'm happy with that. If I had to pick, if you put a gun in my head and I had to pick between Boland and Hazelwood, I'd go Boland.
What I would say to further that though, with the Ashes next summer, I would actually pick Josh Hazlewood over Boland because I think if you're an England batsman, you
Mm.
want to face Boland over
Well,
Hazlewood
well,
because
Boland's
they reverse swept him in the
Yeah, I
last
know.
Ashes.
Yeah.
They played him with ease.
Well, Boland's got two bunnies at home, one being Virat Kohli and the other being Joe Root.
That's true.
So do you play Boland and throughout the Ashes and hope that he keeps nicking off Joe Root?
Yeah.
But then again, Hazelwood is just so good. You'd have to play Boland at the G though.
Yeah. I think Boland at the G, but I think Hazelwood, the reason why I'd edge him over Boland for just specifically the Ashes is because I think Hazelwood has more change up. So if Bazball does get on top, we can
Mm.
see the variety of Hazelwood with some slower balls, some wider deliveries, some shorter balls, some Yorkers. Whereas I don't think Boland has that in his kit bag. And I think we may need to be a little bit more flexible in the Ashes. But in general, I think Boland's edged out Hazelwood for
Yeah,
now.
I don't know what happens to Boland when he puts on an Aussie shirt. It's almost like he's bowling to Nana on Christmas Day. It's that easy. It's that easy for him.
No, fair enough. Yeah,
He's
maybe he's
he's so
confused
good.
Boxing Day with backyard cricket at his house or something.
Yeah,
It is his backyard, the MCG.
it is his backyard.
Um, what is the way forward with Constas? So you mentioned not to play him in the Sri Lanka test. Who would
No,
you have to replace him? And just sort of how do we go forward with him? Are we starting him in
mm.
the Ashes with McSweeney, or are we like what are we doing with him?
We play him in the Ashes,
Yep,
100%. We play him in the Ashes. We don't play him in Sri Lanka. That's just my opinion. I
interesting.
mentioned it before. We talked about it. It's just spin. I don't think you can. I don't think you can cop it unless you just put him in there just so he gets his game better at facing spin.
Yep,
And what better place to do it than in the subcontinent? So I wouldn't play him though, in my opinion. I think we can reward some other batsmen who face uh, face better spin,
yep.
and with the likes of whether that's bringing back McSweeney. There's rumours of Peter Handscomb
I was going to
playing
touch on
in the
that.
Sri Lanka
Yep.
squad.
Peter Handscomb, I think, average is, I want to say, over 45 in this Shield season. And he's been noted as one of our better players of spin. If he
Yep.
did come in, I don't think he would open, though. I
No,
think
he might not open, but that does allow the likes of perhaps whether you push Travis Head and open
that's,
him.
yeah, that's what I was going to propose. I think if Constas doesn't play, they open Head and have Hanscom slot in at 5 could be the look of the team. Do you think Constas should be in the squad? That's a separate question.
Yeah. I think he should be in the squad. He's still got to be around the camp, around Australia.
Yep.
I think it's important for him to be in the squad. But then if Mitch Marsh isn't in the squad, I assume he will be. But if he isn't, I reckon he's the vibe man at the
Constas?
moment. Sam Constas, yeah. I think he's. I know he does. He just has that. I don't want to say aura because he doesn't have aura yet. Yet.
Fair, fair.
After Boxing Day he did, but now it's sort of down a
It's
touch.
waned.
Uh, he's just got that vibe about him.
Yep.
Fun vibe. You'd want to have a beer with him. So he has to be in the squad.
Yep. Fair enough. To finish off, big question from the series. Is this Aussie team or like the Aussie team of the last 5 or so years before like everyone sort of came back and put it together? Is it the best team we've ever seen for
Oh
Australia?
no, I don't think it is. I don't think it's the best team, but they're the best. They're the most well drilled.
Yep.
Um, Definitely the best bowling attack probably
Yep.
Australia's ever had, and that's just lies with the stats. All four of them. If you take even if you take Boland out and put Hazelwood in, all four of those players have over 250 Test wickets, which
Yep.
is ridiculous.
It's
One of
nuts.
those being Nathan Lyon,
Over
who's what
530.
550
Yeah.
around about.
Yep.
Um, but the batsmen, I feel like when we look at this team, we look at wow, those were guns. Like we look at the time when it was Dennis Lilly, Jeff Thompson bowling with Alan Border batting. Dude, will this team have the same effect?
Yeah.
Perhaps Steve Smith will. Uh,
Who else though?
Nathan Lyon
Mm.
probably.
The
Uh,
bowlers, I think, will.
I don't think all of them will.
Really
I don't think all of them will.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm not,
Interesting.
I don't know why, but I don't look at them and be like, oh, I feel like you look back at them and they're like, yeah, they're better than Mitch Johnson, but they're the same sort of vibe.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair, fair. I
Particularly for
think.
Stark.
Yep. No, I agree with that. I think to answer this question, it's almost asking for too much. But if they win the T20 World Cup and then win the Ashes, I think it's got to be probably there, to be
Then
honest.
that's a different
What I
question.
will say is, I think winning the Ashes in England is something this team wants to do. Like, I think I've heard Nathan Lyon speak about it. Like, he wants to go back to England next time it's there because he really wants to win the Ashes in England.
I
And
know, but will he be around?
it'll be too, like, even if he's around or not, that's a very tough ask because England always seem to sort of at least get a drawn series out of us because of the
Mm.
home conditions. So, interesting debate. You can let us know in the comments what you think about that. All right, before we get into all things BBL and Supercoach BBL, make sure to check out TABTouch for their sports markets, which cover every BBL match this season. Got the touch? Download TABTouch today. Think, is this a bet you really want to place? For free and confidential support, call 1 800 858 858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. All right, we've got a quick sort of BBL wrap talking points here from the last couple of games. We've had some thrillers. Firstly, the Scorchers lost to the Thunder. So the Thunder needed 21 of 7. And I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but Webgeen,
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Hugh, I think his name is Hugh from
Hugh.
Sydney. I think he's from Queensland, actually. I don't know. He's a mystery man. We don't know anything about him. Hits a huge 6 off Jason Berendorf. That was a crisp hit to get it down to 15 off the last over. AJ Tar comes in to bowl it, and Rutherford, the West Indian import, got it done on the last ball with a lovely 4. Thunder moved to 4-1. They're looking good. However, another main talking point in this game was the nasty collision between Sams and Bancroft. This was awful to watch. The good news is, though, that both have now been released from hospital, which is really good to hear. Sams has a concussion, so he's in the concussion protocols.
Yep.
Bancroft has a concussion, a fractured nose, and a fractured scapula, which is just awful for Bancroft, awful for both players because they're obviously really critical not only to the Thunder, but just for Australian cricket in general. I think a lot of Aussies just love watching them play. The two of the better players going around. So it is sad to see, but it is good to hear that they're back and in good spirits.
It's literally the worst timing for Bancroft, I think, because I think he could have been a shout to be in that Australia squad
Interesting.
for Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's not going to be now. But it was so bad that they had to. If you haven't seen it, source it yourself. It was a pretty nasty collision. Yeah,
Yep.
if
I
you
don't think they showed the
if you want to
replay, did
watch
they?
that, it's
Yeah.
car crash sort of vibes. It was so bad that they flew both their partners out to Perth, both Bancroft and Sam's partners out to Perth.
Yep.
Whilst they were in hospital. So they're good for now, but the most important thing, the Thunder won. So
The Thunder won.
that's
They
what
got
they'll
it
be happy
done.
about.
They got it done, and it was they didn't actually include Ollie Davies in the 11. He was at the hotel watching the game because he was sick, so they had to bring him down to fill in for obviously the concussion sub for Bancroft, and he was sitting away from the main players. You could tell he wasn't right. And then the other news, I don't know if you've seen this, Marcus, but Dan Christian, the assistant coach, has been listed in the squad for tonight's game because they just need a
They're
player.
that thin.
They're like, oh, who better than Dan Christian, the most experienced man ever? I don't think he'll play, but it's caused an interesting follow-on effect, hasn't it?
Yeah, he'll be there to run the drinks out, but I don't think he's going to get a hit. So that's actually rather big Supercoach news. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out if you're a Supercoach player.
Yep, for sure. Another thriller in the Melbourne Derby on Saturday night. I was fuming with this. The Stars take down the Gates. Marcus, you were there. The Stars' big guns just said, we are the alphas. We are going to absolutely dominate. Duckett, Stoinis, Maxi,
Mm.
Cartwright, the big four. That's what I want to call them, the big four. But
The
it's
big
pretty
four.
intimidating having those four.
Look, is this the best top 7 in the Big Bash? The Stars
I gets
lineup.
let down a little bit with the other three,
Well,
with
yeah,
the other
the
two.
Rogers and Harper.
Yeah,
Let it down a bit,
they're
but
almost like decoy. I know this is rude to call them decoys because they can bat, but they're almost like you just go out there. If you stuff up, we've got Dan
we got
Lawrence, Marcus Stoinis, Glenn Maxwell, and Hilton Cartwright. So
yeah.
just have a bit of
Let
fun with it.
alone Ben Duckett still at the crease as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's how many? I think he's made 3 or 4 half centuries so far
He's been in great form, hasn't he?
this season. Yeah,
Yep.
this is the thing. It's typical Stars though. They lose the first 4, and then it's
Yep.
too little, too late from there. That even if they do win every
They can
match,
still make it. They can
they
still
can
make
still
it.
make it, but they'd have to have a lot of luck go their way.
A lot of luck. Just from a Renegades point of view, I'm channeling our inner Jim from NBA and NFL Australia. Oh mate,
I heard you want to single out one man.
Oh
there.
mate, no mates. Tommy Rogers, what are you doing? All you had to do was take the catch. He takes the catch. The Renegades win. It wasn't even that hard a catch. He was just off balance.
He should have taken it.
He should have taken it. And then to top it off, he bowled the last over. His first 2 deliveries I thought were actually all right. And then he just bowled the definition of slot. You can find that one at the pokies machine. It was an absolute slot delivery. And Cartwright hit it to Marvel, I reckon.
That was one of the biggest I've seen live. That was huge.
It was 121 meters, I believe.
Yeah, second tier of the MCG, which is
that's massive.
Not many players can do that.
Yeah, but you just knew when that catch went down that the Stars would get it done because Maxi and Cartwright don't offer up too many chances. And I think it was Maxwell. As soon as it pops up in the air, you take the catch. You get Osama Mir on strike. You can put dot ball pressure on. It just absolutely killed it for the Gades, and they are now 2-4. They've lost their last 3, so it's not looking good.
Yeah, look, in that final over in particular, you get Glenn Maxwell out. Hilton Cartwright is going to have to hog the strike in that final over, which means they don't have the freedom of running those singles that they did at the start of the over before Cartwright hit that bomb.
Yep, for sure.
Which makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
So, what's happening with the Gades now? Ever since we had Ferg on, we've jinxed it. We had Ferg on.
He didn't play last night either. He got dropped, which was sad to see. But the batting, they picked it up with the batting after they were 3 for 30 or whatever. Bethel looked good. Wells looked good. Laurie Evans came in, hit some balls.
That's true, but the Stars were 2 for 3.
What I loved is this. We got the Sandman, the G-Man, whatever you want to call him, Garinda.
I've really rated him as a player.
Yeah, I love Garinda.
But Tom Rogers with one of the worst. I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah, it was a bit strange, wasn't it?
Stepping on the off stump for the second ball and getting bowled leg stump.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
Yeah, baffles me. I don't know. I'm so confused.
Yeah, hopefully though Garinda can get on a bit of a run. We love the Sandman here on Cricket Today. And then to last night, the Hurricanes have won their last 4 after being bowled out for 70 against the Renegades. Tim David was awesome, 60 off 25, something like that. Mitch Owen was great at the top. The Canes, I still look at their team on paper and I'm like, what's going on? They've got 3 number 11s. They've got some good all-rounders, but their batting is just like, it's a solid batting lineup, but I'm like, is it a top 3 in the BBL batting lineup? That's what I'm asking.
I think it could be, yeah. But
Mitch Owen is added something
standing
different.
up. Yeah. He hit 3 sixes. Team David hit 6 sixes.
Yep.
Which is unreal. Look, but that was in Adelaide as well, wasn't it? Sorry,
I think it was I believe it was in
Ninja Stadium. I don't know why Hobart listed.
Hobart.
Yeah, I don't know why they were listed as the away team, but when it's in Tasmania, it's very hard to beat the Hurricanes, no matter what sort of form they're in. They know the ground the best. The ground's small. They got the players to exploit it with Mitch Owen. Even Matty Wade can still hit bombs. Mitch Owen hit one on the roof, in fact, didn't he? So, and Ben McDermott, he can still play. Shy Hope, it's a good bat. And our man, Nikhil Chowdhury, it's a pretty good batting lineup. And they chased 186 with ease.
Yep, in the end, because Tim David, I think he's 4 off 11, and then I think he hit his next 17 or so balls for, what would that be, 55 or something? He just, as soon as he gets going, you may as well just pack your bags and go back to Adelaide at that stage because there's no stopping him. Then just a quick ladder look. Sixers, Thunder, and the Canes look the best three. They sit first, second, and third, respectively. Who do you think next best is, Marcus?
Oh, has to be the Melbourne Stars. 2-0.
Has to
No,
be.
no, no, no. I'm
Has to
just kidding.
be.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I still think. I still think the Perth Scorchers.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yeah, they are fourth, so I mean that's just an easy thing to say because
Yep,
they are the next best, quite literally on the table. But
yep.
they've got the players to do it. They're going to be getting players back as well with the end of the Australia India Test series. So Jorritson will be back in the team.
Mitch Marsh.
Mitch Marsh, those
Wonder
sorts
if
of
English.
players.
I don't know the availability on English with his calf strain, but he could be
True.
one as well.
Well, I'm still even for the Stars. Like Bo Webster's going to come back in the team as another
Yep.
batsman.
There you go. Yeah.
Um, oh well, there's
So do you think the
we're going to
Stars
see
could?
no, not the
Oh,
Stars,
okay.
but it's just going to be good to see all the best Australian cricketers back in the Big Bash.
Yep. True.
Even though I hate the series to be over, they're going to be back playing cricket.
I would agree with you on the Scorchers. I think they obviously sit fourth, but just keep an eye out for the Heat. They'll have Marnus come back in. Kawaja, I believe, as well, will come back in.
Mm,
Um, and just to pair that with Nisa coming back in as well. We forget about Nisa to go along with their great
yeah,
bowling. It's their batting that has to lift, but getting those Test stars back could be a good thing for them.
it's a game changer.
But I'll still back in the Scorchers from here. I think they're probably the fourth best side at the moment.
Yep.
All right, let's do some quick tips for the upcoming round 6 of the Big Bash. Heat vs Thunder, Marcus. Who you liking?
I'm actually liking the Brisbane Heat in that one.
Interesting.
Well, Thunder will be out without a couple of big stars, obviously, after that nasty collision. So, and Heat at home, I think that's a pretty straightforward one.
I'm going to slightly lean to the Thunder on this one. I just think,
Really?
yeah, I think Warner's hitting form. I think Chris Green's hitting form. Wes Agar's been pretty good since he's come in. Lockie Ferguson being good.
Mm,
It's just they just get it done. They're finding ways to get it done. The Thunder,
they are. I just think they're.
just
Yeah,
with the outs.
with the outs,
Mm.
I just struggle to see, especially away from home. I struggle to see them getting on top there.
Yeah, fair enough. Then we got the Scorchers versus the Renegades. I think this will be the game that sort of differentiates the sort of top 4 or 5 from the bottom 3.
Yeah,
I think Scorchers will get this done. The Gades are they've absolutely hit a dumpster fire the last 3 games. And it's just so, from a Gades fan, as a Gades fan, it's so annoying because they lose to the Sixers. That's fine. The Sixers are good. You smash the Hurricanes. You beat the Scorchers. You're 2-1. Then you play the Thunder. Have a big chance of winning that. They only make 150 or so. And you play the Strikers, who are like they're worse than you. They're second last, and you lose 2 in a row. And then you lose to the last place Stars. It's just throwing away an absolute golden chance to put themselves in the top 4. So I
yeah.
think the Scorchers win this.
I agree with you. I do think the Scorchers win this. They got the team, don't they?
Yep.
Especially in Perth, the bowling is is going to be the big difference here, in my opinion.
Yep.
And hopefully we get to see Finn Allen bat a bit more. We got to see a taste of it, didn't
Yep.
we? After we called him out,
Well, of
and he
course he
hit some
starts
form.
playing well when I get him out of my Supercoach team. That's
I know,
always how it
I
goes,
know.
isn't it?
I think I've brought him in. I think I made my trades this week,
Yeah,
so
smart, smart.
I think I brought him in. But yeah, Renegades, that's rough, isn't it? Because they lose
Yep,
this, they got the same record as the Strikers and the Stars below
yep.
them.
Yeah, I honestly think they could be a shout to finish last or second last at the moment because they're just not in form. And when you
And
don't get in form in these games,
where
then
did you predict them, Leo?
predict them second to win the thing. Can I wait at 2-1? I was feeling it. And then
Yeah,
they
yeah.
blow it against the Thunder. They blow it against the Strikers. To be
Get
honest, Fraser McGurk hasn't done anything. Like
get
he's
Ferg back in there.
Ferg back
Is
in.
is he a fraud? Is Jake Fraser McGurk a fraud?
I don't think he's a fraud, but I think he's overrated. And I think his batting is a case study of
Bang.
his batting is a case study of why the bowling in the Big Bash is superior than any other league in the competition because he finds the IPL so easy because I don't reckon they put in enough research in the IPL. And he comes here and the bowlers know him a lot better and he struggles. So
Mm,
he just needs a big score though to get his confidence up. If he can get a 50, maybe a few drop catches, he'll find his form, I think.
yeah, he's still young as well.
Yeah. Thunder versus the Canes. I think the Canes in this one. I think this is where we see the Thunder squad tested a little bit.
Oh, yeah, that's rough. I'm going to tend to agree with you. I'm going to go Hobart as well.
That'll be a good game, though. I reckon two sort
It
of
will.
bolting teams. I reckon that'll
Yeah,
be good. And then the Stars versus Sixers. If Stars win this, I think they could genuinely make finals. But it's so tough beating the Sixers, no matter where you play them.
it is. But I'm still going the Stars.
You going the
Well,
Stars?
yeah, why not? Why
Fair
not?
enough.
At the G, batting's in good nick. And Sixers to Stars is always close. It's
Yeah.
always a very close one. Or it's always the Sixers getting over the line, but it's always a very close game.
Yeah.
Perhaps we'll see the pendulum swing in a different direction this time.
Maybe. We'll head into a SuperCoach Wash now. I just want to delete the app. I made 465 from round 5. I had a few did not plays because of the weather up in Coffs Harbour. I think it was Jack Edwards, Ben Dorshus, and I had Daniel Sams as captain. So
Yeah,
just not
that's
not
not
a
great.
good round for me. Not a
What was
good
it?
round.
I did slightly better.
Yep.
538, which I'll take. I didn't have Philippi play.
Yep.
I think that was about it. All that I missed out on.
Yep.
I did have Sam's in my team as well, but not captain.
Yeah,
Thankfully.
that's sad to see. And then, stats guy 428. So for once, I didn't come last. So I'll take that and run.
Mate, that's got ever since the first couple of weeks. He's been going like this. His Supercoach team.
Yeah, maybe he's just taken less interest in it as he's
That's
on
because
holiday.
he's not getting the knowledge and not coming on the pod. That's why.
Exactly right. Speaking of knowledge, buy, hold, sell for tonight. Round 6 begins. I'll start with you on this one, Marcus.
Oh, let's do it. Buy Sydney Thunder. This will be Sydney Thunder players generally because they were the only ones that had the double round. But in particular, I'm looking at Jason Sanger.
Is he fit though? Is he going to play?
Well, I hope so. If he plays twice, I think they have to. They don't really have a choice, do they?
I feel like he got injured a couple games back, and he might not be right, but I could be wrong. Let me check that. I'll double check that as you go through your reasoning.
Double check that. He hasn't played since round 3.
Yeah.
But hopefully he comes back in the side. If not, I only mentioned him because I've got quite a few already in my team. So you're looking at the likes of Warner, Green, and Sam Billings in particular. So if you don't have Sam Billings, he'd be the one that I'd say to get into the team.
Yeah, Sanger is not in the squad, so he's still injured. So
Alrighty.
you're going with Sam Billings?
Sam Billings.
Yep, fair enough. Who's your hold?
My hold is still going to be looking at Marcus Stoinis.
Yep.
Still bowl a bit. Bats. He's starting to hit some form. I think throughout this whole Big Bash series, he's had a few 20s, a 30, a 40, and then a single digit. So he's getting some runs. He's capable to hit boundaries, and more importantly, he's giving himself the ball in hand to have a bowl. So he's at 129 now, but more importantly, I think because he's break even, -15, his price is just going to keep going up no matter what score he gets. So Stoinis, hold for me. And Sal, I'm sorry to say it, it's Daniel Sampson, Cam Bancroft after that collision. It's obvious Bancroft isn't going to play, but Sam's obviously with concussion protocols won't be able to play both games, I want to say.
Be interesting to see.
It is a week protocol, isn't it, or 10 days or whatever? So I think
you'll
both.
miss. Yeah,
I think you'll miss both. So those two sell.
Yep, no, fair enough. Similarly to you, by Chris Green, I've put in a bit of a different one. He scored 113 last round. He's got the double. We've mentioned that with Thunder. You just got to get on them. David Warner, if you don't have him. Lockie Ferguson, Wes Agar, Sam Billings, as you said, Marcus. You just got to get on these guys.
Yep.
Hold. I've had him in my team actually since he made that century. Mitch Owen. I don't know if a lot of people actually have him in their team. But if you do, just hold him because the Hurricanes,
I got him.
The Hurricanes have a double in 2 rounds time, so just keep him around because he'll be handy then.
Let him loiter. Even he makes a duck.
Yeah. He's getting the strike rate bonus too when he makes a score over 30.
He sure is.
So I'm definitely holding him. And yes, Sal, you mentioned Sams and Bancroft if you have them, but also if you haven't got rid of them already, I think Matt Short and Jamie Overton, just the strikers have a buy, and I think as being the most expensive strikers players, they'll give you good cash gen for those Thunder guys you want to get. So, yeah, that's who we're going.
Yep, I like the sound of that.
We're getting to the question and fan comments now. One of our favorite parts of the show. I think it is Marcus and Stats Guy's favorite. I think for me, I definitely prefer it over the quick single. I'll say that much. No, this is good. We'll get into it. These are from YouTube, all on Constas versus Bumrah. Daniel McDonough 9400 is Team Constas all the way, but we got some people who are very much Team Bumrah. So at
Yep.
Hazama Toxin, he says, Team Bumrah, let's go. Though this series has been a beauty. Hear me sing 1489. He says, I think Australia can keep Constance for his dirty crap things. Well, when Indian players give it back, the whole of Australia have a cry. And then
That
lastly,
is.
Manavan
Oh.
Nan 1991 says Sam Constance is a show off guy. What are your thoughts on those, Marcus?
I have thoughts.
Yep.
Particularly Himi Singh's comment. Australia cry like a baby. Sorry. Yeah, swings and roundabouts.
Swings and roundabouts.
I don't know who am I in this. Who am I backing? Obviously, I'm obviously want to back Sam Constance. I do love Jasper Bumrah though,
Yep.
but I feel like Sam Constance. There is a little bit of that crap housery about him.
Yeah.
Which can be seen as a bit of a negative. So just keep rolling up the crowd. That's what we want to say.
Yeah. Can I
Roll
be
up
that
the crowd instead of Bumrah?
Yeah, fair. Can I be that guy and say cricket was the real winner? Because everyone was watching it.
Yeah.
And this is what Neil Michael 2676 says on our YouTube. Team fun. Let the gladiators enter the arena. And he said this 2 days ago. Can't wait for tomorrow. That's exactly right. Like I couldn't hate Bumrah for what he did. I think Constance was equally as he was trying to waste time, but it's just entertaining. It gets more people watching. You got people talking about it more on Twitter. And at the end of the day, I don't think anyone was in the wrong. I don't think anyone was necessarily in the right. It was just an entertaining battle. And I think both players would have respect for each other. So
yeah, if you're going to roll up one player, don't roll up Jasper Bumrah, who's probably the best player in world cricket at the moment.
It'd be funny if you rolled up Siraj, actually. That would have been pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then lastly, on Instagram, similar sort of theme, at Santo SHSPKS, he says Constance is the father of Clown Kohli. What do we think of that? Considering Constance hasn't gotten Kohli out in Test cricket, I don't know if that's the case. But
yeah, I don't know if that's the case, but I think he's referring to that bump situation, isn't he?
Yeah.
It was just an odd series in terms of feistiness and particularly from some of the Indians, Kohli in particular.
Yeah.
But Australia get the chocolates.
Yep. There we go. All right, I'm going to call it, Marcus. That's stumps for the Cricket Today show. Thanks to TABTouch. We will continue to do this show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So obviously today's Monday's show. We'll be back on Wednesday with the show and later in the week on Friday. So make sure you get right around this show. Make sure you subscribe. Marcus said at the start of the show, we had 2.648 or something like that.
Correct. Good memory.
So we're on the way to get 3K. Let's get us there. Come on. We got to do it. 3K test runs. We got to get there.
2,649.
Oh, we're going up.
We gained one.
Should we do a live countdown until we hit 3K?
Yeah, it'll be a while.
Yeah, send in any questions and comments as well. We love answering the questions in our segment. We'll go through them. Yeah, every show. Why not? What else are we doing?
It's a favorite segment as well. So get him in there.
Thank you, Marcus, for coming on the show.
Yes, thanks, Leo, again for hosting and sorting through all this. The socials, he's done a mountain of work. So show Leo some love in the comment section.
And show Marcus some love because his insight is just awesome on this show. But don't show Stats Guy any because he's abandoned you again. He has left you again. He
doesn't care. He doesn't care about the pod.
He'll be back on Wednesday. On Wednesday. But yeah, also thank you to Gerald, as I've mentioned, setting me up with all this. And thanks to TABTouch. Got the touch? Download TABTouch today. That's another rep of Cricket Today done. We're out.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.